interesting.
For me, I guess it would be similar as far as teleporting. I'm like a self-declared passenger princess. Like I don't like to drive more than 10 minutes. So that would, definitely help with that.
So I would say time travel.
I'm going straight.
I was
Okay.
so before I used to think that maybe I would like to be able to read minds, but I changed I changed my thinking to time travel. Like if I did something wrong, I like to go back in time and like do it in a different way, even though like I don't know, I'm very indecisive. So I'm just gonna say time travel for the sake of timing. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think my second one probably would be time travel after teleporting. It's kind of like similar, but yeah. All right, if everyone that wanted to share has shared, then we can go ahead and get started. Um, so the what was the title again of this one? You're muted.
Just realized. I'll go back so you can see it.
Oh yeah,
Family and friend
yeah,
connections.
yeah. So the first thing that we just wanted to talk about is like defining what a family dynamic is, and then talking a little bit about, your personal experience of a family dynamic, because I always say like we have cultures in different like places of the world, but every family has such a unique culture, and it like really shapes the way that you think, the way that you were raised, the way that you see the world. Um, the definition that we have on here, though, it sounds a little bit complicated, but it says the intricate interactions and relationships among family members shaped by various configurations and cultural influences. And then there's like some discussion questions on the next slide. So, like, tell us, what is your family dynamic like? And then after you do that, whoever feels comfortable to talk about it, um, we can talk about like has it changed since you were a kid to maybe a teenager to whatever age that you are now. um and also recognizing that some of us are going to be our family is going to be like mom, dad, and siblings, and some of us are going to see our family as husband, wife, and children. And that's definitely going to look different too, but if anyone would like to share.
I guess I can share. So my family life is myself, partner, and two kids. Um, it's pretty recent as like a decade. I would say that's pretty recent. And it is, I mean, it's fine. If I had to compare it to like my old family, the family that came from where I had parents and I was a child amongst three, four other siblings, um, I would say that um, we joked around a lot in my original family. And because my daughter is younger, she can't joke as much. She's a bit more concrete in her thinking. Um, she tries to crack jokes, but they're terrible. But she's 5. So I would say that like funny kind of dynamic exists between myself and my partner, but um, not with the child dynamic. And I would say that something else that I feel like kind of is mimicked in both families that I've been a part of is like care and concern for what's going on and an intention to wanting to spend time together. I feel like that's something that's been coming up. Like we actually like each other. We want to be in each other's spaces, but it's not coming from like a dependent standpoint. It just feels natural and and safe.
You know, that's very healthy. I think that that is such an interesting transition as we have kind of been talking about transitions through this whole thing, to go from one family to another family, and they're both still your family, but like in very different ways. And even like with myself, I can share I have a husband, and we call ourselves like we say, oh, we it's our little family, um, but we don't have a child yet, and so in a lot of ways, we're still extremely connected to our separate families. And then also, but we live together. And so our dynamic in our home is with the two of us, not with our other families. And yeah, there's a lot of different ways that you can different transitions that can happen during that time. Would anyone else like to share anything about what like their family is like or was like when they were younger?
So when I was little, um, I would say it all depends how my parents. I think the family dynamic changed as my parents changed with how old they are now, like the age, or like how much they've learned of how you raised you raise your kids. When I was little, my mom used to be like really strict about a lot of things. She taught me everything I know. She taught me how to cook. She taught me how to clean, how to be independent on myself. Like you need to know this because you're gonna be like on your own one day. And even though you're gonna have like studies and stuff, but you need to know how to do everything. I was like, okay. So I grew up waking up early, going to sleep um in time. I was never like a troublemaker or anything. And as I got older with my younger brother, that dynamic changed. I think because my mom is like more loose, if that makes sense. I don't know how else to explain it, but like um us as a family is not as it used to be anymore. We like my younger brother, he doesn't know how to do a lot of stuff, and like he gets to do stuff that I wasn't able to, or or that I still can do. Like I never had a sleepover before until I got here to college, and he does have sleepovers like with his friends now. He's like when he's like 4 years younger than me, he's like 17, or even before when he was um 15 or 13, he would go to his friend's house and stuff. Um, but I think that also depends on the gender. I think it's kind of, I know it's kind of sexist, but because I'm a girl, I wasn't able to do that because, you know, parents and stuff. So I, I don't know, like growing up, the dynamic changed as my parents did and as I did because I also changed after I came here to college. I think I'm different. Yeah.
I think that's so true that the family dynamic can be different for each individual person. And like sometimes, especially when you're a lot older than a sibling, they can grow up with different parents than you grew up with. And that can sometimes be hard to come to terms with. Like, why are you treating them in a totally different way than you treated me? Um, I think that kind of goes right into our next question. Are there any noticeable dynamics in your family that affect how you interact with certain people? So, like, I can give an example. I grew up in a family that we loved each other, but we were not affectionate and we did not like almost ever say the word love. And and so the way that affected me is it actually I'm like the opposite. I am very, very quick to tell people that I love them. I'm very, very quick to like I always want to give hugs. I don't like handshakes. I'm just like a very affectionate person. And um that actually shifted in my family. We went through some difficult things and then we started to like say that I love you more often and give hugs more often. So yeah, dynamics can change, but um, it's interesting how the way that we grow up, sometimes we continue in the way that we were raised, sometimes we go like the exact opposite. Does anyone else have any like examples of maybe ways that they were raised or ways that their family is right now that affects the way that they are with their family or with your friends, maybe in other social areas?
Yeah, mine was similar to yours. Not a lot of affection or hugs or holding hands or uh, saying I love you. So
Hmm. And did that like change like the way that like are you affectionate with your friends or with your like because I know I think you said that you have a son like are you the same way or
yeah,
do you
very, very affectionate. So basically, I'm trying to reverse everything that I went through. So,
Mhm.
um, and so my son is very comfortable. He's 11 now, but he's very comfortable with holding my hand in public. He'll grab my hand. I'm the one that feels kind of weird about it. It's like, dude, you're almost as tall as me and you're grabbing my hand. So he'll hug me, and I'll hug him back. So it's a thing where your kids teach you and you just lean into it because you didn't get that as a kid. So I want them to have what I didn't have.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. That's very powerful. All right,
I
if
guess I
any
can piggyback on what you guys were saying as well. Like we weren't a very affectionate person. We showed our love through cracking jokes and like laughing and making jokes of each other and that sort of thing. It was kind of like lighthearted and fun. But now watching my mom interact with my 5-year-old is like, she's like, give me hugs, give me kisses, I love you, that sort of thing. And I'm like, you never told me you love me when I was 5. Like, what are you talking about? Um, but it's good to see that it's present and it wasn't like I ever felt like she didn't love me, but we just never really expressed it, in a touchy-feely validation type of way. We
mm,
receive validation for things like performing well in school or doing a good job at an event or something like that. It was always, oh yeah, you did a great job with this, or you did a good job with that, or you ran that race really quickly, you won, blah, 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 blah. But the actual affection or any communication of love wasn't something that I saw um, or experienced growing up, but I see it more now between my parents and even with us.
mm. Yeah, I think that I was just talking to someone recently and I was saying how I was maybe around like 15 or so when it like hit me that I was like my parents are still maturing and they are still growing and they are still changing. And it was like, for me at that age, it was mind blowing because I was like, they're supposed to be perfect. Like they like made me and everything and raised me. They're supposed to like, they're not supposed to be dealing with anything anymore. They're not supposed to be growing in any way. Um, and realizing that was very big for me and it was very healing for me. And I think a lot of times, like, you kind of have to take a step back and be like, okay, my parents were people too, and they had growing to do, and they made mistakes, and they have their little things, and yeah. All right, if no one else has anything else to add, we can move on to the next slide. So I thought it would be interesting because we've talked about friendship before. So I put the original definition that we had before, which was a state of mutual trust and support. And then I put some things that people said from the session when we talked about friendship. Um, I remember that someone had said, someone who understands you. We had a conversation about a friend being someone who gives and receives, and that it is okay to not want to be friends with someone that isn't offering anything to your life. And then we also talked about a friend being someone who knows you, handles your faults, and they still love you despite, knowing the dark things about you. And so yeah, we can have some discussion about that and how that kind of ties in with our family. If you want to go to the next slide. So, this is just kind of like a simple question. You guys can answer it if you feel comfortable. Who do you tend to be closer with, your friends or your family, or is it kind of like a mix, and why?
I think for me, the closest with my friends specifically like happened um, more in high school because I went to like a boarding school and in college because you're around your friends more than you are your family, so they kind of become that sounding board to a lot of your day-to-day decisions. But I think now, kind of being in a different stage of life, um, I look back and maybe think that the experience that my family had gone through, like, through different life stages may have been valuable for me to tap into at that point of time.
Hmm. Yeah, that's a really good point.
I think for me right now, I have friends that I talk to. Well, I have a friend that I talk to just about every day. Um, and then I have um, a family member, my sister, that I talk to just about every day as well. So I think it depends on the content, like what it is I'm trying to share or what's going on in my life that determines who I'm going to talk to and who I feel like I would be most supported by or who would be, be honest with me and tell me the truth about what I need to hear in order to, make me understand things from different perspectives.
I think what you just said about perspectives is so important because, like, I love my family and I'm close with my family, but my family does not really believe in mental health. So if I'm going to talk to someone about something mental health related, it's not going to be my family. And that's not because I don't trust them, but it's not a topic of like mutual understanding. So, but then there are some things where I'm going to be, closer with them about it, or even just the fact that, they knew me for my entire life. They have all those memories with me. Um, well, like, my friends I've known for a certain amount of years, or my husband I've known for 4.5 years, but that's not my whole life. So, yeah, there's definitely makes sense for there to be different reasons why you would go to your friends or your family. Does anyone else have any more comments on that first question?
Yeah, I can definitely relate to what you were saying about family and mental health. I guess growing up, specifically, my mom has been more in the sense of like you don't share your feelings outside of your nuclear family. So, kind of going on my mental health journey was something that I had to be, I guess, as far as explaining to her, kind of had to bring her into a context of, this is something that I need in this span of time, um, that she, I think, still doesn't necessarily understand, but knowing that that's okay, that she doesn't understand my reasons for doing it, but it's something that I have to do for myself.
Mm, that's awesome. All right, then we can move on to the next question. Oh, did you want to go to the Venn diagram or
keep forgetting I'm muted. It's it's up to you. You want to talk about like the way that they connect, the
Um,
crossovers?
yeah, I was gonna go to that one question on the last slide and then
Oh, okay, on the previous slide.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So the last two, I mean the first and the last one are kind of connected, but I did just want to ask, do you guys feel that your friends and family make you feel supported, or do you feel that they ever make you feel misunderstood, or do you feel that there's one more than the other, like you feel more understood by your friends or you feel more understood by your family?
Yeah, I mean, I think it depends again on the topic. I also feel like, I don't know, in my head, as you were asking the questions, I was thinking, well, what if you don't have friends or people that you would label as a friend? And what if you don't really have a lot of family that you can trust? Who then do you interact with, and so that you can feel supported? So I started thinking, well, maybe coworkers or people you interact with on a regular basis, someone at the grocery store. um and again, even in those cases, you connect to certain people because there's some level of shared experience that you have had with them that makes you feel like you can trust them in that capacity. So while I may be able to trust the cashier with what would be the best candy bar to get at the register, I would not trust the cashier with what she believes would be the best way for me to lose 5 pounds. You know what I mean? Like, I think it just
Mhm.
kind of all depends on who you have around, whether they're family, friends, or someone else altogether.
Yeah, and I think that raises the point of you know, having a support system is so important, and not having one can be really, really hard. And I remember I used to work at Pizza Hut when I was like 14 or 15 or something, and we would take like orders on calls. And there was this guy, and he would just call and he would just talk to me, and he would talk and talk and talk until I had to be like, hey, like I have to go. I like, are
Like
you gonna order or not? Sorry, what'd you say?
it's like who? Like a customer?
Yeah, he was just, I don't know who
Oh
he
my
was. He would just call, but
God.
he he was like an older man. I don't I don't know if he actually ever ordered, because he would talk and talk and talk and I'd be like, "Okay." And I'd be like, "Okay, so, like what pizza did you want to order?" And he's like, "Well, my sister this and that." And at 15, I was just like annoyed. I was like, "I'm trying to do my
That's
job."
weird.
But I was also like, maybe he just has no one to talk to while he's calling Pizza Hut
Yeah.
to talk to us, because um
Oh,
so
that
yeah,
makes me
I mean,
sad.
yeah, some people, you know, can feel like they don't really have anyone that they would consider either friends or family, and that could definitely be difficult. And I think Donnie, what you were saying about being in college, that's one of those times, or even being a teenager, where you will probably feel more supported by your friends because they're probably going to agree more with you than your family on a lot of things, because they're your friends, so they're just going to agree with you a lot. And you are with them all the time, so it does change over time. Um, Rusty, you were going to say something. Did you still want to? I saw you unmuted yourself. All right. Oh,
What was that? I was just gonna say, my family makes me feel supported more than my friends.
okay.
Uh,
Yeah. Thank you for sharing. All right, so we can move on to the next slide. I made a Venn diagram, Lene. I don't know if you can like write on the screen or like type on the screen, but I was thinking that we could like talk about like similarities, differences, and then you could just like put them on there. What's the spider?
I was looking to see if I would be able to write on there. I don't know if I can.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, looks like I may be able to draw on the
Oh,
page.
okay. Maybe, well, maybe we can try, or we could just talk about it. Um, but obviously, if you've ever used the Venn diagram, the middle is like both. So like, what's the same for both? And then there's the differences on each side. So like, we could start with like the simple things like family, you're related by blood. Friends, um, you meet them somewhere, or you grow up with them. You meet them at school or college or something like that. Um, can anyone think of anything that you would say is like the similar or the same between your friends and family?
One thing that I've seen is like shared experiences. So even though I may have not grown up in the same like household as some of my friends, a lot of our shared experience, specifically when it comes to family dynamics, has been the same.
Hmm. And definitely, especially if you like grew up with a friend. Like I didn't really have friends until I got to like high school because I was homeschooled. But I was always like jealous of like those people that were like, oh yeah, we've been friends since we were like in preschool. And in that kind of case, like you kind of do like have almost the same memories and the same shared experiences as you would have had with your family. And then at the same time, you could have family that you're blood related to, but maybe you've never met them, or maybe you have no shared experience with them.
So would you put the shared experiences in the blended portion?
I would say yeah.
Y'all don't judge me. I'm trying.
You're doing great.
That's it.
Okay. Anyone else have any thoughts on similarities, differences? I mean, what makes someone a friend and not family, or what makes someone a family and not friend, or both? I sometimes I'll hear people say like, no, you don't call yourself a friend, you're my sister, you're my brother. Um, what do you think makes the difference between that?
Love, I would say. Like, I mean, for both,
Hmm.
I think the idea is that society creates these like labels and definitions for the relationships that we have with people. And I think the idea is that we can't love our friends, which is why when you do get to that point with your friend, you call them family. Like, nah, this is my ace. I can count on this person to do, this person is overly dependable. So they're not just a friend, they're family. When the reality is that sometimes some of your blood family you can't even really trust. There's no love in that relationship. So um, I decided to just put love in between because I think we kind of mix the two relationship types.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's interesting. I've never heard anyone put it that way. But yeah, it's like, why would you kind of say like now I call you family, but like what has actually changed in the relationship? Did you always love each other? Do you just now love each other? It's interesting.
Mhm. I put chosen. I guess technically I could have put chosen here too,
Hmm.
because some people say, "Oh, I don't have any blood family that I'm down with, but I have chosen family," you know. Um, but the reality is that you also choose your friends.
Hmm.
So,
And I've heard some people say, I don't know if this resonates with you guys, like, oh, I know that my friends love me because they chose me, but I struggle to know if my family loves me because they're just stuck with me, like we're
mhm.
related by blood, so they have to love me. Um,
Yeah.
Yep, I heard that too.
Yep.
yeah. And I honestly don't think that's true because I think if your family didn't feel like loving you, like they would show it. Um, I think even though you might be born into that family, they still have to choose to show you love, just like your friends do.
Yeah. But I also feel like when it comes to family, there's an expectation that they should love you. It's like because you're family, you should
Mhm.
love and accept me. But friends get a pass.
Mhm. That's true. And like we were talking about, like with boundaries, I feel like that happens too, where it's like, I'm your family, so you should not set this boundary with me, or you're expected to allow me to do this or this and this and not get upset, or not set a boundary because we're blood related, compared to compared to a friend where it might be more seen as acceptable to set a boundary.
Mhm.
Any other thoughts on differences, similarities? If not, we can move on to conflict. And then I have a like a little activity for us after like the conflict slide that I think will be very helpful. So for conflict, I think a lot of people have very different opinions of what conflict is, what conflict means, if it's healthy, if it's not. Some people, like me, I don't mind conflict. Not really. I like to talk it out. And to me, I kind of feel like conflict is just a natural thing. Um, my husband, he gets like very anxious if he thinks that there's a conflict. And sometimes I'll have to say like I'm not even upset. I'm not even experiencing any negative emotions. I just want to like discuss this thing. And he'll be like are you mad? Like are you okay? I'm like no, like I'm fine. So, um would you guys say that you feel that conflict is healthy, or do you kind of like get anxious when you feel like a conflict is about to happen? Are you what's that word? People will say like confrontational, or people will say I'm very non-confrontational. How would you describe yourself?
I'm non-confrontational.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm non-confrontational as well. So generally, I would more kind of try to keep the peace to avoid going to a level of conflict.
I'm confrontational. Um, I don't see it as a negative thing. That's why. I know a lot of people do see it as such, but in my view, I feel like not talking about issues creates a conflict. And sometimes to talk about the issue, you have to confront an issue head on.
Hmm.
Um, and so that's my take on it. I know a lot of people view confrontation as someone who comes in hot and heavy and aggressive, but just approaching someone about a problem is a confrontation, right? So in my head, I don't mind it. And I want people to approach me if there's a concern, like tell me that there's a problem. I don't, it's difficult for me to deal with passive aggressiveness because otherwise that's what it feels like if you're not telling me something upfront that um, I need to be made aware of, then it could create a larger issue, or we could both be avoiding something intentionally or unintentionally that really needs to be resolved.
That's so true. And I think the way that because I used to be very, very non-confrontational to the point that I would never even stand up for myself. I would never express my feelings, even if it was a super, super simple thing. Um, and now the way that I kind of try to live my life is if it's bothering me, I'm going to talk about it. And if I choose not to talk about it, then I'm not going to let it bother me. But I'm not ever going to be bothered and not talk about it because that is unhealthy. Now, if you're like, you know what, I don't feel like having a whole conversation about this, I'm just going to get over it. Then okay, that's fine if you can actually get over it. But if you're going to keep it in your heart and it's bubbling up in your heart, and the next thing you know, what might happen is you have a blow up and you have this big overwhelming confrontation, and then it does feel scary when you could have just had something really simple. I remember one time I was at work and I had someone come up to me and they were like, "Are you mad at me? Did I do something?" And I was like, "No." I was like, "No." And they were like, "Well, this thing happened and I thought you were upset after that." And I was like, "No, but I'm glad that you came up to me because now we just resolved it in 3, 4 sentences and now we're good." So, yeah. Um, with the last few minutes, we can move on to the last 2 slides. So, before you guys leave, I wanted to leave you with a communication tip. This is something that I try to use in every conversation that I have with people, and it's called I statements. And so, what an I statement does is it allows you to express your feelings and your needs without blaming the other person, and it helps the person that you're talking to not immediately feel like they have to defend themselves. And overall, that's going to lead to better understanding. So, an example that I have on here is the conflict statement would be, "You never listen to me." And the I statement, like the alternative that you could say is, "I feel ignored when I'm trying to share something important um, because it feels like I'm not being heard." So, what you do is you take the focus off of the person that you're talking to and you put it on yourself. And when they don't hear like that word, you do this, you do that, number one, it's gonna help them feel like you're coming in from a point of view where you want to understand and less of assuming, because maybe they don't feel like they don't listen to you. So when you say that, they're like, wait, you're accusing me of something that I'm not doing. And then again, it also just like it leaves it open for them to be able to say, oh, like I didn't realize I was making you feel that way. Now can we talk about it? Um, so on the next slide, I have some statements. So I have like 4 statements on here that I feel like are pretty common arguments that you might have with a friend or family, especially maybe someone that you live with or someone that you work with. Um, and if anyone is comfortable, I think it would be great practice for you to pick any statement that you see on the screen and just like flip it over, put an I in there, and see how you could reword it in a way that would create healthy conflict, healthy conversation. So I could start with one of them. Um, I'll pick you are always late. I would say the way I would probably reword that is I feel inconvenienced and a little disrespected when I took my time to get here on time, but you weren't here on time, and that made me feel like my time was wasted.
I can do one too. Um, you don't listen to me when I share my opinion. I could transfer that or transform that into I feel I feel unimportant and neglected when I try to tell you, or when I try to share my opinion about something, when I really want to be heard and understood.
I like that rewording.
Thank you.
I can do one. The one, you never help around the house. I would reword that to, I feel that you don't prioritize supporting me with household duties.
If I could,
Yes, I
oh, go
could.
ahead.
The you don't well, you never help around the house. I could say, I think it's time that we need to sit down and revisit our chore wheel to see where there could be some gaps filled.
Hmm, I like that.
Yeah, I like that better.
I think they're both great, but I love like the idea of sitting down and having like a discussion about, okay, well, what are you gonna do? What am I gonna do? Like for me, um, I get home before my husband, so I cook, even though I don't even like to cook, but I cook. But like the kind of like it's kind of like an unspoken, sort of spoken rule that he cleans up after I cook, and if he cooks, then I clean up. And that's just like a simple kind of like distribution that we do, but I like that idea of sitting down and talking about it. Um, I can do the last one. So you always make plans without asking me. I would say I feel left out when I hear about plans that I didn't get to be a part of making. And sometimes it makes me wonder if my um, presence is valued. So, yeah, so these were just some examples. And as you can see, like it takes a little bit of thought to think of how you could reword it. And honestly, I think that that helps too because you have to take a second to think about what you're going to say before it comes out of your mouth, which also is going to help in the conflict resolution. Um, Anyone have any like final comments that you wanted to say? Any questions about anything? If not, then we have one more, right?
Yes, you have one more group after this.
Yeah, so we will hopefully see you guys next Friday at 3.
Yes, you'll see me.
All right.
All right, thanks again. It's great.
All right.
All
Thank
right,
you guys.
All right,
alrighty.
happy Halloween.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Bye.